Hi, I'm Jessica Rector, host and founder of This Man Thing, where we help men think bigger, be bigger, and play bigger. We want you to gain more freedom, confidence, and success. You can find us at thismanthing.com. You can also join our Facebook group, absolutely free, at thismanthing.com/groups. where men are having real conversations and building much needed community, support, and camaraderie with other men. Derrick Kwa left school at 16 to forge his own path and pursue his passions. Since then, he's done 2 virtual programs with Seth Godin, traveled through 10 countries in 2 years. Wow. Played in professional poker tournaments, worked in his favorite Michelin star restaurant in Singapore, and started a marketing agency with clients such as QuickBooks Asia and Wakul Singapore. Now he runs Passion Blueprint and the Bucket List Bootcamp, where he helps and inspires others to pursue their passions. Please help me welcome Derrick Kwa. Woohoo! Thanks so much for being here, Derrick.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about you and your background outside of the amazing things I've already introduced you as doing.
Yeah, so I've basically always been about, going for your own thing, doing what you love, following your passions. And since I was a kid, kind of just knew that the typical path wasn't for me. And so I left school. That was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
And, since then I've taken a bunch of different paths, and now my focus is on Passion Blueprint and trying to help others go after their passions too. Yeah.
Well, that is bold to leave school at 16. What did your parents say?
It took about a year to convince my mom to let me leave, and even then that was on the condition of me taking the A-levels and going to college and everything. And I did that, and I went to college in the States for like 3 semesters, and then I dropped out of college again.
Very cool. So how did you find your passion, and what does that look like? I think that term passion is used a lot in society, and I'm living my passion, but how do those who really don't know what that looks like, how do they A, find out what it looks like, and B, even know what finding your passion or pursuing your passion is?
I think in terms of finding out what your passion is, a lot of that is really trial and error. You find trends in things you enjoy, the people you follow, the people you admire. It really helps, I believe, to take time to do like serious self-reflection and actually set aside time to make these lists of things that you really enjoy, things that are important to you, the people you admire the most, and look for trends among those. Right? And then you just for me it's just about taking small steps in that direction and calibrating as you go. Right?
So give us an example of what you did to find your passion.
So since I was a kid, I was always a computer geek, right? And I remember I had a basic HTML class in school when I was like 11, and I fell in love with programming, taught myself coding from books and stuff like that. So when I first left school, the first thing I did was go online, and this was back in 2007. So this was the early days of social media and blogging and everything. So, I went online and found a bunch of blogs to read, just kind of to expose myself to different ideas and everything. And I came across Seth Godin's blog. And Seth put into words a lot of things I believed in, right, about education, about kind of just like your push life that I believed in that I never managed to articulate. Mm. And it resonated a lot with me. And one day I just dropped him an email. It was like a 2-paragraph rant of like a thought that I had.
Okay, wait, we got to stop right there. That's big and bold, Derrick. I love it. I love it. What inspired you to just say, hey, I'm going to drop him an email? That's bold.
Honestly, part of that I think was, as a random unknown 16-year-old kid from Singapore, I had nothing to lose, right? And
But I love that mentality. I have
yeah,
nothing to lose, because so often we say, oh, well, he's going to say no, so why am I even going to bother to do it, right? But
yeah,
let's take that perspective of, I have nothing to lose. And guess what? What if he says yes? Ah! Right?
so I actually got a reply from him,
Tell
and
me, tell me.
I don't even remember what it was. Just like the one line, like, that was a great thought or whatever, and the contents of my original email became my first blog post, and that's how I got started in this world.
That is so exciting. Yay, yay, yay. So have you been living boldly like that?
I try to. I generally try, try to do the things that scare me and like not let those fears hold me back. It's still tough, and I think I'm better than most at doing that, but I still struggle at times. Passion Blueprint itself was an idea I had for like 5 years, and it took that long to kind of overcome that fear and launch it.
Okay, so walk me through that. So you email Seth Godin, like, woo, okay, right? That's big, that's bold. And I always believe that confidence doesn't come from us staying in our comfort zone, right? We've got to go boldly and do things boldly in order to also build the confidence, right? And the more that we are bold, the easier the next thing to be bold becomes, right? And then the next one and the next one, because all along the way, you're building your confidence in being bolder, right? And so you have this idea, but yet for 5 years, you let fear stand in your way, right? 5 years. So what does it look like when you go from, okay, I'm sitting in fear, I've been sitting in fear for 5 years, to, you know what, I'm just going to do it. How do you go from fear to, I'm just going to do it, especially when you've been in fear for 5 years?
A lot of it, a large part of it, I think, is surrounding yourself with the right people. Before Passion Blueprint, I was running the marketing agency. I had a business coach, Ishita Gupta, who I was working with. She helped a lot in kind of overcoming that, gaining confidence, and just even running that agency, even though it had nothing to do with what I'm doing now with Passion Blueprint, right? Just being able to build that and the steps I took in that, right, to reach out to clients and pitching and learning all of those skills, and those things helped, right? Just that constant action taking.
So you say, like, the people that you surround yourself with, what does that look like? What type of people is that?
People who will push you and support you. Sometimes, no matter how confident you are, no matter how good you are at dealing with that fear, there are always going to be things that you get to the edge, and you get scared.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes it's useful to have people who will kind of give you that nudge off that edge.
I always say I'll give you a gentle nudge, or sometimes I'll just kick in the booty to go off. But either one works for me, whichever one resonates better with you. And totally agree, right? You don't need the negative Nancys. You don't need the Debbie Downers. You don't need the pessimistic Pauls in your life. Like, you need the people who are going to support you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to lift you up, but all the while help you become a better version of yourself. So if that means gently nudging you or kicking you in the butt to take that leap, those are the people you need to surround yourself with. Because I say, when you take that leap, you're either going to find solid ground or you're going to find your wings, right? One of the two. So so that 5-year journey of living in fear, what did that look like for you?
I mean, at that point, it was really just, basically telling myself that I wasn't good enough, I hadn't done enough things, with my own life to be able to help others, right? There's so many other people in this sort of space of helping people do what they love and believing that I didn't have value to add. And so, that 5 years was kind of when I explored and did much more just things of my own. Right? That's when I played poker and traveled. And, that's when I started the marketing agency. And, part of it is also just, I think those experiences, and the lessons I learned throughout doing those helped me be able to finally do this, right? 5 years ago, even if I had managed to push myself and take that step out, I would have probably screwed up a bunch of things.
Yeah, but messing up is part of every journey, right? Messing up, failing, making mistakes, part of any journey. Everybody has those, right? So that's just part of life. And life isn't meant to be perfect, because if it was perfect, you'd get bored and then you'd be like, wait, is this it? There's got to be something else, right? If life was perfect, you'd be bored. Nobody would like life. Everybody would want something else. They'd say, is this all there is to it? There's got to be more, right? And so you hit on a really, really crucial topic of, you feeling not good enough, you feeling that you didn't have enough experience, that you hadn't lived enough. How did you work your way through those thoughts? Because those thoughts can be debilitating. Those thoughts will keep you stuck, right? So how did you work your way through that?
A large part of it, so I think there are two things to that. A large part of that is really just, since I felt like I hadn't done enough, the first step was going out and doing things.
Yeah.
Right? So as I traveled, as I, started this marketing agency, I gained more confidence through doing these other things and gaining these experiences that I felt I needed. And the second thing that really helped a lot was I was in Seth Godin's Alt MBA last year. I was one of the first 100 people in his Alt MBA program.
Yeah.
And
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I applied actually not expecting to get in. And then got accepted. And it was a 1-month program of just intensive shipping. We had 4 projects a week.
Wow.
To ship out, and working with these other amazing entrepreneurs and artists and just people who have done awesome stuff. I remember starting that program and my first call with my group, thinking, we all introduced ourselves, and I was just like, all these people have run their own businesses for 10 years, in top positions in their companies, and just feeling like I am nowhere near as good as them. But then over the course of the month, as you actually work on things more and you ship more, you kind of realize the value you have to add. Right? And you realize that your voice, your opinions, your personality is unique to you. So I think a lot of it is really just, if you don't believe you're good enough to do something, just start creating, start doing stuff, even if it's on a smaller scale, even if it's something slightly off tangent. Start creating, and
just go out there and do, right?
Yeah, the more you do things and the more you put yourself out into the world, the more you realize that that the world wants to hear what you have to say.
Yes, and it's also not about comparing yourself to someone else. It's not about comparing your beginning to someone else's middle, right? Because you do that, you'll always be disappointed. But yet that's what we tend to do. Or we compare ourselves to, we compare how we feel on the inside to how somebody looks on the outside, and you'll never measure up. There'll always be something wrong with you. Or we compare who we thought we'd be at this age, or what we thought we'd be doing, or who we thought we'd be married to, or how successful we thought we'd be, or compare ourselves to other people's expectations of us, or, compare ourselves to who we were 5 years ago. Well, we're not the same person we were 5 years ago. And all that comparison does is leave you disappointed and let down. Nothing good ever comes from comparison, right? And so I always say, like, don't compare yourself. Don't go down that road, because you'll never be happy going down that road. You'll always feel defeated, and which then helps you stay stuck, right?
Yeah.
Helps you with those mental records that you play over and over in your head of not feeling good enough. So I love how you say, just go out there and do. Just go out there and try different things. What are some things besides Seth Godin's program that you tried and maybe didn't work out the way that you planned, but you're glad you did it because it led to something else, or it allowed you to say, you know what, I'm glad I did that because I know that's definitely not what I want to be doing or where I want to be living or who I want to be dating? What are some things that you tried that maybe didn't work out the way you planned, and what did you learn from that?
The poker world was a huge thing for that, right? Even
why did you get into the poker world? What made you decide to do that? That seems random.
I love math, and I love, the idea of math predicting and analyzing human behavior, and poker was kind of that perfect blend of math and psychology, right?
Yeah.
And in a very confined space. So I loved the game. I still love the game and the intellectual challenge of it. But it's a very emotionally stressful thing to get into.
Yeah.
Because, no matter how good you are, there are times when you will go broke. And like I am nowhere like near the top. I'm above average. I can probably manage to eke out a living, but I'm not like top notch.
Yeah.
And I was playing relatively low stakes, but I would still deal with wins or losses of like $1,000, $2,000 a night. And I remember being in Montreal once and playing in one of the casinos there and making, I think it was 1,800 Canadian dollar bluff.
Wow.
That did not work. And that, as a 22, 23-year-old, that's a slightly tough thing to handle. And, poker really forced me to learn to deal with making those mistakes and moving on, and also just to learn with focusing on the process and not the results, right? Because sometimes you can make all the right decisions and still things not go how you expect. And poker taught me a lot about that.
And so how do you use that going forward?
A lot of it is just mindset stuff, right? Being able to, when things don't go your way. For example, at a poker table, one of the things that helped me a lot, I worked with a mindset coach for a while, and one of the things that we talked about was I would get into my head at the table when I felt like I made a mistake and get really pissed off at myself, right? And just kind of replay that mistake over in my head and go like, you're such an idiot for doing that.
Wow, yeah.
And so I worked with this coach, and we talked a lot about basically just reminding yourself that now is not the time to do this. Right? And you can analyze it after the fact. Now just move on, do the next time. Right? And even in business, right, sometimes things go wrong and sometimes you screw up on things. And it's helped me, right, to learn how to just kind of remind myself and consciously kind of almost say out loud to myself, like, now is not the time to worry about this. Figure out how to, move on and take the next step. And then after that, you can come back and analyze and figure out and kind of learn from that.
So when is a good time to do that, whether it's in business or relationships? How do you know when you say now is not the time to do it? When is the time to do it?
I think the biggest thing is when you're not right in the middle of it, right? When you're able to when you've dealt with the emotions and you're able to sit back and really analyze it, like cognitively and reflect, rationally, is that helps. It's important to be able to reflect and analyze and see what went wrong. But, you need to be able to do that without beating yourself up over it.
That's very, very good. Without beating yourself up over it is the key, right?
Yeah.
And be of open mind and open heart to receive whatever it is that you come up with, right? To receive whatever the reflection, whenever you sit there and self-reflect on the situation, whatever it is that you come up with, that you're able to use it going forward and learn from it moving forward. So tell us a little bit more about passion, because I love talking about passion. I think there's a lot of people out there who are not living their passion. And I think there's a lot of people out there who have no clue on what that means or how to go about doing it. So what does passion really mean? Like, to live your passion or to find your passion? What does that mean? And how can people go about finding out what it is?
To me, living a passion is really about doing the things that resonate with you, right? That give you the most meaning, and work that you believe in, work that basically gives you meaning, and that can be different for different people, right? My mom, for example, stability matters much more to her, right? And that's more important than like freedom and creative expression. So she's perfectly happy in a 9-to-5 job doing that, and that's perfectly fine, right? I think it's really about finding what's important to you, what resonates, gives you energy, gives you meaning, and going after those things. And I think where a lot of people get stuck is they have this idea that our passion has to be one specific topic that never changes, right? And a lot of times what we are passionate about can be kind of a big overarching theme. Like, for me, what I'm realizing that I really care the most about and is important to me is creation, and like freedom of expression and creation, right? So right now I'm doing my podcast. Down the line in future, I want to do something in songwriting. I want to do something in food, and right. But just for me, it's all about creating new things and expressing myself, and that's what I believe in the most. It could be you're passionate about learning, and it doesn't have to be a specific topic. You could, do something in the space of helping people learn effectively, right? And just I read this quote from an ebook, I think it was by Stephanie O'Connell, that said, kind of follow your passion, but don't be limited by it.
But don't be what?
Don't be limited by it. Which I think is a great line, right? The idea that accepting that it can change. If you're feeling like you don't love something that much anymore, go ahead and switch, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, I love that, because I do think people think that I got to pick one passion and do that one passion and only that one passion, that you can't have multiple passions, and that you can't change your passion at any point. And in today's world, it's very rare that you find someone who has the same job, the same career path throughout their whole life. Whereas like my dad's generation, he was always in the same industry his whole life. That was kind of the norm. Now it's not the norm. It's kind of like passions, right? You can have multiple passions. You can go from one thing that you're really passionate about to another thing that you're really passionate about. And it's all okay. But as long as you're living authentically and being true to yourself and expressing yourself through your passion, hey, everything's good, right? Everything's great. So what's one step, one thing that people can do to find their passion, to start on the road to discovering what their passion is? Like, if they're like, I don't even know what that means, how do I go about doing it? What's the first thing that they can do to do that?
Honestly, my favorite first step to get people to do is how I got started. Find someone you really look up to and admire, and who you think, I wish I could be like that, and drop that person an email. Right? Can we just take like 5 minutes to write out something? It can be as simple as I love your work, or it can be, you know, a question of, right, if you have any tips on how to get into this industry, whatever it is, and just, you know, hold your breath and click send.
I love it. Go boldly. Yes, yes. Go bolder. Love that, Derrick. Wow. So that, I mean, that's great. I mean, and the thing is that one thing that you did led to so many other things, right?
Yeah, and it makes you realize that you have nothing to lose by putting yourself out there. And once you reach out to, especially when it's someone that you really admire and you really kind of have always thought I could never approach him, and you do that and you recognize that that wasn't so bad, it, like, my world hasn't crashed, it becomes so much easier to consistently reach out, you know, make new connections. Right? And that's, you know, when I started blogging, I reached out to Chris Rogan, asking him for advice, and he wrote a blog post about me. How I did that internship at the restaurant in Singapore was I literally just emailed them and said, "You're my favorite restaurant. I love cooking. Would you be open to having me come down, like, part-time?" And and they said yes to that. And, you know, just learning, it makes, the more you do it, the easier it becomes to keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And you'll be, you know, surprised at the results you get and the confidence you get.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that is the most they can say is no, right? And if you don't ask anyways, it's already a no. And I think what stops people from doing that is rejection. They're so scared they're going to be rejected that they'll say no anyway, because rejection is one of those things that we learned when we were really, really young, right? And we say, oh, I didn't like that feeling. It felt icky and yucky to be rejected, and I don't want to feel that again. So I will do anything, just about anything, so I don't feel rejected again, which means I won't ask out a girl. I won't apply for the job I really want. I won't go back to school. I won't send an email, all because we're scared of getting rejected. Meanwhile, the answer is still no anyways if we don't put ourselves out there, if we don't ask. And it's not rejection when someone says no. It just means maybe not this time, but it doesn't mean that next week, next month, next year, it's not going to be a yes, right? And so I love that. I love that. Go bolder. That is the theme of today with Derrick. Go bolder. I love it. I love it. So tell us how we can find you and where we can find out more about you and connect with you.
So you can check out the podcast at passionblueprints.com, and my personal blog is at derrickkwa.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Derrick. Loved having you and all your juicy nuggets today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Again, I'm Jessica Rector, host and founder of This Man Thing. You can find out more about us on thismanthing.com or join our free Facebook group at thismanthing.com/groups, where men are having real conversations and getting much needed community support and camaraderie with other men. And we want you to go bolder, think bigger, and be better. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have an amazing day. Until then, bye-bye.